Hi guys, Jimbo here, the driving test guy, New South Wales, helping you pass your New South Wales P1 driving test first go, hopefully. Okay folks, so it's been a very busy 2 months since lockdown finished, and been doing lots of lessons and lots of driving tests, lots of people passing, lots of people getting on the road. Great stuff. Now remember, this channel, the focus of it is to get you ready for your test and pass first go. That's what we aim to do, okay? Now, I've covered most topics with my videos. Now, one particular area which I haven't covered yet is hazard perception and safer driving. Okay, so hazard perception and safer driving is probably the most important topic that I teach in car, but it seems to be the most either misunderstood or underappreciated topic that I teach. Okay, it's not as fun as, say, reverse parking. One problem that comes up is this: any mention of the terminology hazard perception to one of my students, and this is the reaction. Oh yeah, Jimbo, yeah, I gotta put me hazards in so I can book me P's. So this ridiculous computer test that you do prior to booking the P1 test takes the focus off what actually hazard perception is about, and it seems to encapsulate it all into this computer test. So while doing the computer test, if you happen to press the buttons at the right moment or not press the buttons and pass it, that means that you're now good, and you can tick that off, hazard perception done. And that is far from the truth. Okay, so the second problem I see when teaching hazard perception and safer driving is any mention of the terminology safer driving, and this is usually the first thing that comes to my student's mind. Oh yeah, Jimbo, I gotta book that 20-hour course. Yeah, get my hours up for my P's. And I say to my student, hey dude, you know the course doesn't go for 20 hours. You know that, don't you? So what's happening here is the idea of actually learning safer driver practices is being replaced by attending this course. You sit in a classroom for 3 hours and you don't even have to listen. And then you go out on the road and you do a series of just 10-minute drives swapping between you and your buddy. And that's it. All of a sudden, tick, I'm now a safer driver. And again, this is so far from the truth. Okay, so I've had hundreds of students do this course. I used to be a coach myself, and I get them in a car, and they may have done the course previous weekend, and they're showing absolutely no evidence of any safer driver behaviors that this course purports to teach. And that's the problem with that course. Now, I will do a video on that course one day, but that will be another time, okay? And we'll deal with it then. Okay, so let's get down to business. First of all, a definition of a hazard. Now, a hazard is a situation that has potential to cause you harm. Okay, so in terms of driving, it's coming up to a situation in traffic where there's a higher potential for harm to come to you or to others via some sort of accident. Now, this accident may or may not be your fault, okay? A lot of accidents happen to you even though you had the priority, like the light was green. But if we enter this situation with a safer driver response, the idea is to lower the risk of this situation causing us harm. Okay, so let's get down to business. If you have a look on the screen here, you got the green New South Wales P1 test sheet. Okay, so the columns that we are concerned with are the H column and the R column. So if there is a hazard event on your test, the examiner will put a tick in the H column. Now, if you respond appropriately, you'll get a tick in the R column. Now, that's the scoring column. Your percentage score will go up with a tick. Now, if you do not respond appropriately to this hazard, you'll get a circle in the R column and your percentage score goes down. Okay, so we now need to define what these hazards actually are and what the appropriate response will be. Now, the testing officer's manual pretty much defines a hazard that they're assessing as a vehicle, a pedestrian, or an animal, or some object that may enter from the side into your crash avoid space, and that could be into your forward 3-second gap or directly into your side meter space. Now, this particular hazard has to be actually present, so it's there and potentially capable of moving in front of you. So it may not have moved yet, but it's potentially capable of moving in front of you. A classic example would be you're going past a side street and there's a car waiting that might pull out in front of you. Okay, so once we've established that we have a hazard coming up, We'll respond to this hazard in two ways. Okay, the first way is by managing your speed. It could be a case of coming off the accelerator, slowing a bit, putting your foot over your brake, covering it so you're ready to brake if you need to, or if it's a little bit more of an urgent hazard, actually getting on the brake and slowing it down. Now, the second way we can respond to a hazard is by positioning our vehicle. Okay, so a classic example would be you're coming up to a bike rider and you need to go around that bike rider a little bit wider to give that rider a bit more space. Okay, so we're going to get on the road now and we're going to try and find some of these classic examples and how we're going to respond to those hazards. Are you ready? Well, let's go. Okay, so our first hazard is this situation here. After I change lanes, a lady gets out of her car and she still has the door open. So this will require a speed adjustment response, simply coming off the accelerator, slowing a little bit. I can't really give much of a position response by going a bit wider because I'm already very close to the center line. And it's not a serious enough hazard for me to require to change lanes again. Okay, so my next hazard is this red car. I'm at a cross street, I'm on priority. This red car is coming in fast from the left side to their giveaway sign. I don't know if they're going to run the sign and cause an accident. So a speed management response, I'm going to come off my accelerator and cover the brake. Okay, so our next hazard is this situation with these two vehicles, the ute and the bus. Now, what's got my attention with these vehicles is the fact that those two have brake lights on. That means they're active. There's a potential for either of those vehicles to pull out into my crash avoid space if they haven't done their checks properly and cause me an accident. My response is a speed adjustment, lifting off the accelerator, slowing a little bit, and being ready should one pull out in front of me. Okay, so in the next scene, we will have a sequence of 4 hazards that we will need to identify and respond to. And this is how it will be on a driving test. You'll need to scan left, right, and in front and identify hazards and show the examiner that you are responding to them. Okay, so the first hazard in our sequence is this red car. The guy gets out of the car with his door open, immediately onto the brake because he is so close. We don't have room to position wider, so we remain slow until we pass him. Okay, so our next hazard is a combination of 2 spots. In front we have a white car that is stopped wanting to turn right. And on our right hand side is cars that are coming out of the shopping centre driveway. Guys, I'm just going to pause the video for a second and show you what happens when you don't notice that the car in front is stopped. And then what happens to the front of your car, and then what happens to your face. Oh, he's not watching, and... Oh! Airbag in the face! Loser! Okay, back to business. Okay, so my response is to slow down off the accelerator, covering the brake. I'm watching the guys on the right, should they jump out on me? Also to see what the guy in front's doing. He turned, so good, but I had the option to go around him if he stayed there longer. Okay, so my next hazard is this pedestrian. All I need here is to simply off the accelerator. I'm watching him, he's walked away, all is good. Okay, so we continue on. I'm going to make a right-hand turn at the modified T coming up soon. I've got my right signal on. Now I've got 2 quick hazards coming up. One's on the left, this car here, off the accelerator, slow, watch in case he pulls out. Okay, the second hazard's right here. This person behind that vehicle may potentially walk in front of me, so straight off the accelerator, over the brake. Okay, so my next hazard is as I turn right, there's a truck blocking my way. Straight over the brake. Now, with this particular blocked truck hazard, there are 2 options. The first option is, if he is moving away from you, then keep your hold back position until he is cleared and then you can continue. But in this situation, he is permanently parked. So we only have the other option, and that is a positioning response. We have to go around him. Make sure it's clear ahead. We check our mirrors, right signal, right blind spot head check. Very, very careful here in case someone's there. Mirrors, left signal, left blind spot head check, back in again. And then we continue on. Okay, so my next hazard is coming up ahead. It is this bike rider. Okay, so with bike riders, if the speed limit is 60 k's or below, you need to pass them with at least 1 meter space. If your speed limit is greater than 60 k's, well then you need to give them a little bit more space, 1.5 meters. In my situation, I am in a 80k zone, so I'll have to give this bike rider a 1.5 meter space. You are allowed to go over the double unbroken line to give the bike rider the necessary space, as long as it's clear ahead. You check your mirrors, indicate, blind spot head check, out, and the same back in again. I was planning to do that, but then I noticed the oncoming vehicle. I now no longer have the option to go over the double unbroken line to give the bike the necessary space, so my only option now is to get over the brake, slow right down as I pass both. Okay folks, so we've just been through a list of classic hazards. The car coming in from the side, the pedestrian getting out of the vehicle, pedestrians walking across the road, a truck that was blocking the way and we had to go around it. Okay, so I want you now to go out and practice this. Go out, when you drive, go beyond road rules and start looking side to side and looking for these situations where something might enter your forward or side crash avoid space. And if there is something that is potentially there, that you show a response, either a speed response off the power, cover the brake, slowing a bit, or repositioning the vehicle, like I had to go around that truck. Okay folks, so before we finish, I just want to show you an extract from a YouTube channel called Dashcam Owners Australia. Now this channel is one of the best sources of information to show you why you need to be good at hazard perception and adopt some really good safer driver skills. Okay, so I've put a link down below in the description for their channel, and so you can check that out. Now we're going to have a look at this video. This is a scene where there's a lady driving along a priority road and she's doing nothing wrong legally, but what she's not doing is adopting safer driver behaviors and hazard perception skills. She's not looking side to side for any potential hazards. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, so she's driving along on the priority road, having a conversation with somebody, but she's not looking side to side. Then one day from the left side, oh, tough.
Oh shit. You alright? Yep.
Okay, so there's two things I want you to take away from that dashcam video. The first thing is, despite the push for better driver training, driving when not drunk or on drugs, not driving over the speed limit, and definitely not driving while distracted while on a mobile phone, there's a small percentage of the population that feel they can still do these things, okay? And they're the ones that will always cause the accidents, okay? Now, so the onus is on you to make sure that you adopt safer driver skills, hazard perception, so you can at least get a better outcome if you're faced with one of these situations, okay? Now the second thing is, let's go back and have a look at this video and see what we could have done, to get a better outcome. Look at the region where the yellow arrow is. This is the car that's about to hit us. We have a lot of time to respond, but this woman only notices this car probably about now, and it's too late. Okay, so we could see that car about 6 seconds before it hit, but that lady that was driving only noticed that car about half the 1 second before it hit, and it's way too late. So let's go back and have a look at that video about how it should have played out using safer driver practices, hazard perception, and how a better outcome could have been achieved. Okay, so we're scanning left and right, then on our left we see the car coming in. Straight off the accelerator, on the brake, he's still coming fast, hard on the brake now, and hopefully avoid a bad outcome. Otherwise, this is what will happen. Ooh. Okay guys, so that's a wrap for the hazard perception, safer driver video. There's a few things I want you to be very clear on from this video. First of all, don't limit your hazard perception safer driver to that computer test, hazard perception test, and the safer driver day course. Okay, they don't even scratch the surface about what true hazard perception and response is. Okay, second thing is, don't make any assumptions on the road with the other drivers. Okay, there is a small percentage out there that are doing the wrong thing, and they will always do the wrong thing. And so the onus is on you to drive in a way where you are prepared for these people. I showed you in that last video what happens when you get complacent and you don't scan around and look for other people's errors. Okay, so if you're new to this channel and you want more, please press the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. And always remember, stay safe.